Hello, you lovely people. Today I'm going to be showing you a surefire way to live a better life, absolutely guaranteed. Now, you might be wondering, whoa, how's he going to guarantee me? He doesn't even know me, blah, blah. Watch to the end of this video, and I guarantee you're going to learn something. Now, the reason I can be so confident and guarantee that you are going to be able to better your life from this video is because these are the exact same strategies that I have used to get multiple rental properties by the age of 21, to get my dream car by the age of 21, to find a loving partner here by 21, and achieve financial freedom by 21. Now, I'm not saying these things to brag, but I'm wanting to tell you this because I have gone from the point where you're probably at right now, stuck, feeling lost, not very happy with your life, where you wake up and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, to the point now where I am genuinely satisfied with my life. I'm proud of what I've accomplished, and I feel like I found my true purpose and passion. Every day is a great day. So let me show you exactly how I've done that. All of these things that I have achieved are only possible due to this one thing that we're going to be talking about today. Now, I'm sure we have all heard this saying at one point in our lives. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around, whether that's friends, people you watch on social media, whatever it may be. You end up being an average of these 5 people. Now, what's hard about this is if these people are low in quality in some way, shape, or form, you are much more likely to be lower in quality just because you spend so much time around them. Now, I think we all know that, but what is the reason behind that? Well, it is because we naturally compare ourselves to these people we spend time around. In a way, they are our competition. Now, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in just a little bit here, but if your competition is low on the scales, if they are not very high, and you are naturally already above them, the chances of you wanting to push yourself harder and harder are not very high because you are already at that limit in your mind. You are already way ahead of your friends down here, competition-wise. You're already the best around. Why would you need to get any better? Now, let's talk about it. To drive this point home a little bit more, let's say this chart here represents success, and you have your 5 friends scattered throughout this chart here. As you can see, 4 of your friends are pretty low on the charts, but you have 1 friend who is pretty high up there. Now, just to preface really quick, success throughout the entirety of this video and all of my videos really is not in terms of money. Success does not equal money. When I see success and how I want you to envision it whenever I talk about it is whatever your true version of enlightenment, happiness, joy, purpose is. If that's being the best parent you can be and raising some amazing kids, if that's your version of success, fantastic. If your version of success is doing charity work every weekend and making a ton of people's lives better, fantastic. But when you're trying to find your version of success, when you're trying to go through this video so you can kind of have a purpose, a guideline to follow, is I want you to think about that thing that when you're on your deathbed, you're going to look back on and be proud that you spent your time to accomplish it. Essentially, success, once you find it, should be your North Star throughout the entirety of your life. It is that thing that everything else should revolve around because that is true happiness for you. And happiness is what we're all chasing, right? Happiness, freedom, it's what we're chasing. So when you find that version of success, and it'll help you a lot throughout this video, but remember, success is happiness. So this chart here is representing your version of success, whatever that means. For sake of example, let's say yours is being the best parent you could possibly be. So let's say your 5 friends here. Some of your friends are, they're good parents, but they're not the best parents in the world, so they fall a little bit lower on the chart. You do have one really, really good friend who you try to emulate a lot of your stuff from, who's a really good parent, but he's kind of a sole individual up here. Well, the chances are, even if you here are trying to emulate your friend up here as much as possible, since you have so many other friends who are kind of down here, lower on the scale, the average is a lot lower on the scale between all of your friends, you're likely going to fall a lot lower on there. That's just because it's the law of averages, right? If you have more friends down at the bottom who are not that successful in your eyes, in whatever term of success that is, for here being a family man, well, you probably won't be either. But the higher up your friends are in terms of success, the higher you will naturally be. Now, when we say this, I'm not saying, oh, yeah, these people aren't good at anything, you should just get rid of them right away. No, because the chances are, in a different chart, this would look a whole lot different. Maybe this individual would be much lower on the scale and these 4 people would be up higher. Maybe that's in terms of, I don't know, video games. But that is why you need to find what your absolute version of success is. That way you can emulate the people you're around, the people you're watching, to be closer to the higher end of the scale when it comes to your version of success. Now, what's funny is this principle of being the average of the 5 people you spend most time around, it doesn't just go for the people you spend time with. It also goes for every single person you compare yourself to. Now, we can use this to our advantage. Let's say this absolute stud muffin right here, let's call him John. John right here is your biggest competition. John, as you can see, he's absolutely freaking jacked. Bro's an absolute unit, got some big old muscles. John is a beast. And this is you here. You're a lot smaller than John. You're probably not as successful as John. Is that a bad thing? Like, should you reevaluate based on what you're learning in this video? No. Let me tell you why. Now, let's say this chart right here represents your version of success, kind of like we have in this graph. You are down here, and we're going to be keeping the same examples of being good in terms of a family man. You are down here. You are not a great family man just yet, but you are working on it. You're trying to get a little bit better. John here, John is way up here on this scale. As you can see, the discrepancy between the two of you is very, very large. Here's exactly why I do not think that's a bad thing. Personally, I think the higher of a gap you can have between you and your competition, the biggest competition in your life, the person you're comparing yourself to, the person you are seeing their actions and trying to emulate, the bigger of a gap you can have between the two of you, the better. As long as that gap, you are still able to stay motivated between it. So if you still feel an immense pull and like you can genuinely beat John, then that's great. But for some of you watching this, you might not be able to see John up here and see him as a genuine competition. For example, for those of you trying to make money online, you might see Elon Musk and you wouldn't really be able to compare yourself to him in terms of competition because he's just so far ahead of where you might be able to get to. So you don't feel that pull to him necessarily. So you would want to find someone a little bit closer to you on that chart so you can get up to their level before eventually finding another competition to compete against. Hopefully that makes sense. But essentially, the further of a gap you can have in terms of competition while still feeling that competitive pull against that person, the better. So that's up to you. You have to figure out where you feel that pull and who you can compare yourself to. But the further ahead of you they can be in terms of your version of success, the better. The reason why this works so well and why you want to have this big pull is because it demands more from you as an individual. If everyone you're comparing yourself to is lower than you, then you're not going to have to work that hard to stay ahead of them. We are naturally competitive creatures. We like competition. We like beating out people around us. If you're already better than everyone else around you without even trying, you're not going to have to do anything to keep staying ahead of them. But if you're surrounding yourself, if you're comparing yourself to people who are way farther ahead of you or already where you want to be, whatever it may be, it's going to demand more of you to catch up to them and eventually surpass them than it would if you were comparing yourself to people below you. You want to always be the dumbest in the room. That's a saying I always like to live by. If you're the dumbest in the room, the demand from you is always going to be higher, forcing your output to be enhanced, leading to better results. Now, not to beat this point home any further, now that you kind of know the principle, that you want to surround yourself with good people like we always know, but also compare yourself to people who are as far ahead of you as possible, what can you do? What can you take away from this video to start living a better life? Number one, I need you to determine your ideal outcome. This is going to be your North Star, your version of success. We're not able to truly start transforming our lives if we don't know where we want to get to. If you think your version of success is being the #1 Minecraft YouTuber and you start comparing yourself to the best Minecraft YouTubers in the world, great. Chances are you're probably going to become a better Minecraft YouTuber. But if you then find out a little bit later that your version of success was actually being a good parent, all this time and energy and effort you put into becoming and chasing this version of success was going nowhere towards your real version of success. So you need to figure out your actual ideal outcome. This is a very important decision, and it's something you do need to spend a lot of time truly figuring out what it is for you, figuring out your passion, where you want your life to look like, so on and so forth. So first thing to actually start determining your ideal outcome is you need to figure out what you want to get out of this. What is that version of success for you? What are your passions? What do you want your life to look like in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years? This will give you a broader time horizon to see when you're 80 years old, are you really going to care about being the #1 Minecraft YouTuber? Or would you rather be able to say, oh yeah, I went and built 15 schools in another country and helped this many people get education? What would mean more to you? What are your short and long-term goals? Again, extending our time horizon out to see what you truly want over a much broader time horizon. A lot of people think in 2-month, 3-month increments, sometimes even next day increments. You need to think about what's best for you over the horizon of years, decades, because when you can start broadening your time horizon, your chances of success are much higher. What are the skills and traits you want to develop? Do you want to be charismatic, kind, affable? What kind of skills and traits do you want to be able to develop by the time you're reaching this ideal, your best version of yourself? And how do you want to be seen? Do you want to be a caring person? Do you want to be loving? Do you want to be seen as a family man, a charitable individual, a successful individual, a businessman? How do you want to be seen to other people? Maybe it's living in a big old penthouse in Dubai. Basically, how do you want to be seen to the outside world? If someone were to write down on a piece of paper your manifesto saying, John Smith is hardworking, affable, great with people, very kind, honest, how would you want to be seen? How would you want that one-page paper to look? Number two, now that we have that version of yourself, you need to discover the distance between you now and that outline that you covered. So let's say this is you right now, watching this video, you in your current situation. And this, with the, very happy, nice hair, that is you in this outline that you just created. We need to discover basically what is in this circle here. This circle is like a wall, preventing you from becoming that best version of yourself, that version that you just outlined. We need to discover what there is inside of that wall that we need to overcome to become more like that version you just outlined. That version you just outlined is the best version of yourself, is how I'm going to refer to it from here on out, because that's kind of my premise of what I try to help everyone achieve with my product Elevate. Link in description. Okay, but basically, so you need to figure out, what traits do I need to develop? What traits am I missing from where I am now to the person I want to become? Because obviously you need to develop those if you're going to get there. I have a little spoiler for you. You literally wrote out those traits in the last step. So now you know what traits you can start working towards becoming this best version. Next, what am I doing now that's stopping me from being there? Literally, what are you doing? What actions are you taking in this current moment that are not aligned with the best version of yourself, that are stopping you from actually getting there? Next, if I was helping someone else get there from where they're at in your current situation to where you want to be, how would you recommend them to get there? What would you recommend them to do? What steps would you have them take? What would their day-to-day look like? Great. And now, step number 3, the most important part. You need to start the journey. So look, here is kind of how I look at this self-improvement journey on becoming that best version of yourself. This is you now, obviously. As you can see, you're looking very distraught as always. And this is that best version of yourself that you just outlined. Between you and the best version of yourself, there is a big old flaming ball of fire, a wall of fire, should I say. This wall represents a ton of pain, struggle, discomfort between you, version of yourself now, towards you becoming that best version of yourself. But there's no going around this. There's no going under it. There's no going over or around it. You have to go through this fire. Otherwise, you will never be able to achieve this best version of yourself. You have to increase your level of people you compare yourself to, kind of like we talked about, by finding people where you want to be, people who are already this best version of yourself, because that is literally going to force you to run through the fire. Instead of people being back here who are nowhere even near your fire, would just make it so you feel fine with where you're at currently. You're like, you know what? I'm beating everyone around me. Why would I need to change anything? So you don't even have to go through that fire in the first place. But think of the distance between where you are now and where you want to become, how your life will change, the difference in you as an individual, your family, your lifestyle. That is why it's worth it to go through this fire. And that's what you need to remember. That needs to be your why on why you take this journey through this painful fire. There's no going around it. Every person has to go through it. To this day, I'm still not even close to the best version of myself. I'm just starting this journey through the fire. There's been so much hardship, struggle, but still you have to continue onwards, remembering what is on the other side of this fire, the enlightenment you're gonna feel. So you need to create habits and a plan. That's what I want you to take away from this video. What steps are you gonna take to help you become more like the best version of yourself? Action is very important. There was a time in my life where I got stuck in this cycle of just learning. I was like a sponge soaking up as much information as possible, but I didn't take any action off of it. And because of that, I saw no change in my life. I stayed exactly where I was. If you truly want to make a change, then you have to take action. You have to take that first step into the fire. Otherwise, you are going to stay in that same spot. It doesn't matter how much you learn, how much is coming in. If you're not taking those small, painful steps forward, the discomfort, you are never going to change. So you need to figure out what steps you're going to take and actually take them. I want you to do that now. Write down the first step you're going to take. What trait are you going to start working towards to truly start becoming that best version? Because I promise you, it is worth it. What actions are you going to take daily to get closer to that goal? And do it. That is the only thing that you have to do. That is the only thing stopping you from becoming this best version of yourself. That is the only thing in this gap here, is the tasks that you are putting off. The tasks you are putting off are stopping you from becoming this person that you outlined here, towards being so high up on the scale, towards beating your competition John here. You can do it, and there's no doubt in my mind about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was a surefire way to live a better life. If you need help with this, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, or I designed Elevate to help you do just that. First link in the description, you can try it out risk-free. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of a different style video. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.